At a Senate Commerce Committee hearing on Wednesday, Senator Jon Tester spoke about Amtrak. The Montana senator spoke about the importance of train travel in the United States. Senator Tester said train travel can be, quote, a tremendous economic development in our country. Senator Tester also urged the nominees for the Amtrak Board of Directors to think about trains outside the Northeast Corridor.
Senator Tester.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to say it's good to be back in the committee room. I also want to thank you and Senator Wicker for getting CHIPS and Science Act across the finish line. That was a huge undertaking, and I just want to express my appreciation for both of you working together, because it was an important piece of legislation that I think is a winner for the American people. Let me ask you a question to all of you, and you can just signify by raising your hand. How many of you have been to Montana? Raise your hand. Good deal, Wicker. So I appreciate that, and you're all invited to come. Let the record reflect that none of them have, unfortunately, seen the great Treasure State. Congress has made some important investments in passenger train through the bipartisan infrastructure bill that we passed to provide reliable service across our nation. It's a priority. We've even made changes to the Amtrak board's makeup to make sure that it reflects Amtrak's network's diversity. So while I would say it is good to be back here in the committee, I must say that I am more than just a little bit frustrated by the lack of Amtrak board nominees before us that doesn't include any of the western states, and the fact that, Mr. Primus, you've excluded, but the fact that none of you have been to a state of Montana to understand the size and the breadth and the depth and the length and the distance is a problem. I will also tell you that my neighbor is about to embark on a train ride from Montana to Washington, D.C. He'll get here this Friday or this Saturday because he wants to experience it, and he wants it to be a good experience. And I will tell you that as a Montanan, I've been on the route from Washington, D.C. To New York many times, and it's a great service. But I would hope, especially since none of the folks sitting in front of me, and I will give Illinois a little bit of kudos, thank you for being at least from part of the center of the country. Before me have little understanding of the size of a state like Montana and the fact that the empire builder that serves Montana is so critically important to our state and is under attack almost every single day by somebody who doesn't want that service to be there. Puts you guys in a very difficult, and I use that, ladies too, in a very difficult position. Because you have to understand that it takes about 14 hours to drive the length of Montana. So that's probably about what it takes for a train to go across the length of Montana. And we don't have hundreds of people living in every square mile of our state. In fact, it's probably less than a person in every square mile of our state. And so I don't plan on stopping any of you from being on this board, but you guys have a lot of work cut out for you to understand long-distance traffic. And I say that not knowing where you've totally come from. I've read your bios. But the bottom line is, if we lose Amtrak in Montana, it is an incredible hit. And in fact, there's a group working right now to make sure that we reestablish the old southern route called the Hiawatha route in Montana, which would be incredibly important. And I know there's some in Congress that think that trains have gone the way of the Pony Express, but the truth is, if we can make our train travel as convenient as it is in other countries, I think it can be a tremendous economic developer in our country. I only put out the information that I put out because even though none of us want to admit to any faults, I can't tell you what the challenges are in inner city Detroit or Miami or Houston, Texas. But I can tell you what the challenges are on a farm in Montana or a cattle ranch in Montana. And so it is going to be up to you guys to educate yourselves on the challenges of long-distance rail throughout this country, if we're going to keep it. And that's not to say that the Northeast Corridor isn't important. The Northeast Corridor is damn important, but it's only part of the system. So you guys have a lot of work to do because, as I said earlier, there are people every single day that want to shut down the rail service in this country. And if we're going to have good rail service, and especially in the West where distances are long between houses, we've got to have folks that are willing to stand up and fight from a position of knowledge. With that, I yield back.
Thank you, Senator Tester. And I so appreciate your comments and remarks, and definitely hope that our witnesses and nominees here today get that message. We get the Northeast Corridor, and we're for it, but we have to have a bigger, more aggressive strategy, whether it's the South or the West, or got to implement the services.